It's hard to resist a nice swim on a hot day, especially if the water is crystal clear or painted in nice looking colors. All around the world, there are plenty of places where we can go and relax for a bit while enjoying the water. Lakes, oceans, rivers, even swimming pools can be exotic sometimes and make for even better pictures. But then there are places that look nice in pictures, but when you see them in real life, you'll realize they're not open for swimming. And there are plenty of reasons for that. In today's video, we'll be looking at 15 places you should never swim in. Our first entry is Lake Kivu. In the Great Lakes region of Africa, we can find Lake Kivu, a body of water on the border between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. The lake is huge, but not necessarily swimmable. That's because Lake Kivu is considered to be explosive. But what does that mean exactly? Well, for starters, it's situated near a volcano, which makes its ground very unstable. And sometimes this lake erupts, which causes it to release a lot of carbon dioxide and toxic substances. And I'm not sure if you know this, but that can be pretty deadly for us humans. That's why it's best to stay a bit distant from that lake, in case an eruption does occur. Our next entry is the Potomac River. The Potomac River is one of the most famous bodies of water in the US. Not only is it one of the largest rivers on the East Coast, but it's also a place full of flora and fauna, and that makes for a great encounter with nature. The Potomac River also has a great historical value to the US, as it has served to transport goods across different towns. However, this isn't a river for you to swim in, as its strong currents and force can pull you under in a matter of seconds, and you could end up in the ocean without a chance to survive. Our next entry is BOLINAS Beach. People love to go to BOLINAS Beach to see seals. But do you know who else loves seals? Great white sharks. And that's exactly what you can expect to find if you ever go to this place. White sharks come closer to this beach in search of food. Unfortunately, sometimes surfers and other unlucky swimmers get mistaken by seals and they end up becoming the victims of traumatic attacks. Perhaps it's best to only stay at the beach for this one, but it doesn't sound like a good idea to get in the water. Will that stop surfers from going though? I doubt it. I'm sure many of them are going to enjoy taking the risk. Our next entry is Derbyshire Blue Lagoon. Blue is always inviting and calming when it comes to water, and usually blue lakes or swimming holes are a sign of clean water. However, not all shades of blue are necessarily a good thing. In the case of Derbyshire Blue Lagoon, this place is blue because it has a high level of pH, around 11.3 to be precise, which is way beyond the lucky number 7 that authorities recommend. This lake is as alkaline as ammonia and bleach. Would you swim in any of these substances? I don't think so. In fact, when there's ammonia leaks into the local streams, the places get quarantined because of how dangerous it is. This is why the Blue Lagoon at Derbyshire is not a place for us to jump in. Our next entry is the Ganges River. Rivers that go through a city often suffer the consequences of pollution, and that's exactly what happened in the Ganges. This famous river flows through India and Bangladesh. Despite many regulations, the cities around the river developed so quickly and made this body of water a place for people to dump their trash, plastic, and anything that they want to get rid of. As a result, this river is extremely polluted, and it's not the kind of place where you'd like to swim unless you want to get sick. Our next entry is Horseshoe Lake. Just like Lake Kivu in Congo and Rwanda, the Horseshoe Lake in California also poses a threat to people who want to swim in it, and that's due to the carbon dioxide that comes from it. Just like Lake Kivu, Horseshoe Lake has a high presence of this substance due to the series of earthquakes that shook the area where it was located. Yeah, sure, I'm sure it's nice to look at this lake, but if you really want to swim, there's plenty of other places in Cali where you can do that. Our next entry is Lake Victoria. The third largest lake in the world is also one that you should avoid if all you want to do is swim. This lake is in Africa between Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And every year, the lake becomes a threat to thousands of people who dare to come close to it. As of now, there's only about 5,000 people who have lost their lives in this place, but that number could climb. The reason why Lake Victoria is so dangerous is because it also has its own isolated weather system. You might go in on a sunny day and think it's gonna be a nice, perfect little day, but in just a matter of seconds, the nice weather could turn into a terrible storm that would be hard for you to escape. Our next entry is New Smyrna Beach. Apparently, there are 2 shark attack capitals in the world, and I'm not interested in swimming in any of them. The first capital is New Smyrna Beach in Florida, a place that's become famous for its sharks. Actually, people call it the unofficial shark bite capital. So a bite isn't as bad as a full attack, am I right? Well, still, if you don't want to have a close encounter with a shark, then it's best you don't swim here at least. Our next entry is Reunion Island. And then there's the other shark attack capital, which is Reunion Island, which is off the coast of Madagascar. It's smack dab in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and it's a territory that belongs to France. Surely the place has nice views and a cool vibe, but it's also full of history and nice looking beaches. But I guess you gotta be careful if you ever consider going in the water, as sharks are not the kind of creatures you want to have around while you swim, obviously. Our next entry is the Amazon Basin. I doubt there are many people who are planning on going to the Amazon River for a swim. After all, this place is right in the middle of the jungle, so we can expect to find some unfriendly creatures around or inside the water. For starters, we have the piranhas, the barracudas, and other similar predators that could pose a significant threat to us. However, the most threatening of them all is the candiru, a fish that could potentially invade and damage our private parts permanently. Sounds pretty painful, so I guess I'll stay on the boat. I'm not interested in swimming there. Our next entry is Lake KARACHAY. You can find this lake in the center of Russia, but should you be swimming in it? You take a guess. For so long, the Russian government filled this place with toxic garbage, back in the day when environmental regulations didn't exist. The trash came from a place called Mayak, which is a facility for nuclear waste storage and reprocessing. As a result, now they have this poisonous lake. It is located near the town of Ozyorsk and is now one of the most dangerous places on Earth. They say that anyone who dares to swim in its waters will probably die after an hour. Our next entry is SAMAESAN Hole. If you're afraid of the dark, then this is not the place for you. The SAMAESAN Hole is one of Thailand's deepest diving locations. And what makes it even more terrifying is the fact that it's dark and you can easily lose your sense of direction. You can swim in it, but if your visibility is limited, you probably won't be able to know which way is up, which can be deadly as you'll grow anxious while trying to get out of there. Our next entry is HANAKAPIAI Beach. When we think of Hawaii, we think of paradise, palm trees, white sand, and plenty of time under the sun. But is it possible that Hawaii is just that? A land full of awesome places? Well, unfortunately no. There's actually some places that offer nice views, but they're not the places where you'd want to swim, even if the water's inviting. HANAKAPIAI Beach is one of those places. Over the years, there have been around 80 deaths recorded in these waters, and it's mainly due to its strong riptides. So if you don't want to be swept out to the sea, then you'd better find a different beach. The Hawaiian Islands honestly have plenty of options. Now it's time for the day's best pick. The picture I chose for the day shows a pink lake that looks like something made out of Pepto-Bismol, that medicine you drink when you have stomach problems. Would you swim in something like that? Well, actually, you can. The place is called Lake Hillier, and it's in Australia. And according to travelers, the place looks more interesting in pictures than what it actually does in real life. But they also say that if you manage to make it to the HORSESHOE archipelago, you should find the middle island and go for a swim. This place is not toxic, it's just full of salt, which will make you float. Now let's explore the last two bodies of water where you shouldn't swim at all. That being the Nile River. The Nile River is of great importance to the history of humanity. It was along the shores of this massive river that the first civilizations developed and thrived. From Sudan to Egypt, the river flows north towards the Mediterranean Sea, and it's also the longest river in Africa, and it's also considered the longest river in the world. Although some people believe that title belongs to the Amazon. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is that the river is long, but still it's not a place for you to swim. The river is full of crocodiles. While there are plenty of other animals or even insects that can be more deadly than a croc, the crocs are likely to kill you if you swim too close to them. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Our final entry is the Boiling Lake. We finished this video with a lake that's in Dominica, an island nation in the Caribbean known for its natural hot springs and tropical rainforests. The island is full of natural beauty, but even the gifts of nature can be threatening, kinda like the boiling lake in this beautiful island. The lake itself is actually a fumarole that is flooded, and it's part of the Morin Pittens National Park. And in case you don't know it, a fumarole is an opening in the surface of the earth, which allows steam and volcanic gases to come out. There is a lot of magma flowing underneath this place, and that's why its water reaches boiling points. Sure, the hot springs and hot baths can be fun, but there's a big difference between hot water and boiling water. And honestly, we all know how painful it can be to even touch boiling water, let alone sink in a lake full of it. Are you ready to go for a swim now? I just hope I didn't ruin your holiday plans. But now you know the truth in case you wanted to go for a swim in any of these places. Would you ever like to visit one of these places? And since you can't swim there, what else would you do? Let us know in the comments section down below. With all that said and done, that's our video for today, folks, and I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.